We go. So, welcome to night 19 of the Joy and Success Challenge, guys. And this challenge has been challenging us. And we hope that we hope that it's been challenging you in a good way, of course. And so, guys, um, I was talking with somebody today, and they are battling an attack. It's some I am statements that keep coming. And I kind of didn't want to say that's why you should be in the Joy and Success Challenge. Um, but maybe tonight would be a good night to hear if this is making any, if you're getting any feedback, not feedback, to give
Attacks?
us
Oh, to
feedback
give us.
to see if it's making any impact on you because I
Mhm.
feel like it's making an impact on me. So, uh, as we do our check-in tonight on a scale of 1 to 10, could you also tell us if the challenge is impacting you in any way? We would love to know.
So the joy frequency 1 to 10 and any impact. Hmm. Are you getting attacked by I am statements from
Not
the
since
enemy?
that one day, not since that one day when it was really like in the middle of the day, he was like, You're normally so joyful. What's going on?" So, yeah, that day was pretty challenging. But today, since that day when I took authority over those thoughts, I didn't have a problem. So we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to have the feedback so that we know if will move the needle for you. Um, so yeah. So let's get started because we have a packed night tonight.
Yes, tonight the profile, the joy profile is Corrie Ten Boom. And I don't know if you know this, but 10 in Dutch just means at the or to the, and boom means tree. So Corey by the tree family, I guess is what that would mean. So Corey Ten Boom tonight. Uh yeah, protecting Jews and lost her sister in a concentration camp. And so we're diving into an issue that's not necessarily, but what we see come out of this is beautiful. And it's a story of forgiveness, a very powerful story of forgiveness.
Right. Yeah. So we're on day 19. Great stories, great examples from history and the Bible and Christendom. And we're really focusing on John 15:11. These things have I spoken to you that my joy would remain in you. And every night we've kind of been looking at something else that the Lord is kind of speaking to us through the profiles so that our joy may be full. So every morning, Dane is asking us to.
Yes, this is the challenge every day, as you well know by now, those of you who have been with us. So starting the day engaging Jesus and giving him two things to be thankful for, and then writing them down. So entering the gates with thanksgiving in our heart. What a way to begin a day. You know, there are so many life coaches and even in the secular world saying you have to have a grateful heart, and they encourage gratitude lists. And as Christians, this is much better, isn't it? I mean, you're engaging Jesus and you're being thankful directly to him. And then using the Bible, going to scripture, finding two joy verses. And after that, we're identifying a destiny goal, something important to our lives, part of our calling, and what we can do each day toward achieving that goal. And then we're looking at that on paper and we are doing, right? We're doing that one thing that will give us strides toward fulfilling that goal. And then finally, we have two I am statements. I am responsible and I am strong
Strong and
and
capable.
capable. Yeah, just some easy wins. You know, I add to that too. I've been watching these life coaches. I add to that. I make my bed every morning. I know that that might seem really simple to some people. To me, I had to wait till my 50s before I could do it. So, I mean, a lot of listening to great coaches, great teachings, and understanding the psychology behind all of this. All right.
So I was just trying to keep up with you, but you went real fast on that
Really
question.
fast. Oh, okay.
So this was for your destiny goals. Even though they say goals shape destiny, and we think it's the other way around, I thought the bullseye was a good picture. So yeah,
Excellence and standards.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's your next slide, actually.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're striving for. Excellence.
Yeah.
And our Father doesn't want anything less for us. And our standards, what will we tolerate in our lives? I'm not tolerating not being aware of my destiny goals, right? Or what I can do day to day to help get me in that direction. Um, yeah, getting rid of a lot of the clutter in life. That's very important. Saying no to a lot of things. So my floor is raising. I don't know about you, but I think that's something we need to strive for, continual improvement and the excellence in instilling habits. So we have consistency, daily habits, consistency, so that we're getting stronger and stronger day by day. As they say, two steps forward, one backward. So, not every day you'll be stronger, right? But hopefully over time, over a month, you'll be stronger at the end of that month. And who are we, Lovey?
Well, we are Life Culture, and every night we've been kind of telling you who we are and what we're about. We spoke last night about healing hearts, and we went into depth about how much our hearts have been armored. We've suited up because we don't want to get hurt, right? And we are called to help heal hurting, broken, wounded hearts, which is usually the reason why we suit up so that nobody would hurt us. And it may look like, oh, this is a red squishy heart, but somebody tries to get in and they realize, dang, there's chainmail or tough armor beneath that. And that's usually because we got hurt in the past. And so we um we have the training and the unction and the mandate to help bring healing to that area. And we've shared a lot of things that we are about, worship, families, and all those things. And now we um we want to ask you, what do you need?
Yes.
Yes, so we want to ask you, what do you need?
Hmm.
So it's a feedback time
Yeah, okay,
because,
let's go to some
yeah,
feedback.
yeah,
Like in a church or in a ministry. Let's say it's not even a Sunday ministry, like a Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon ministry. What are you lacking uh, that you would like to see? A little more feedback, a little more conversation, discussion, a little more participation, a little more participation in the worship, more time in worship. All
yes.
all sorts of things.
Yeah, so this is a create your own church wild card. If you could create your own church, what is it that you would like to create? And we're kind of pausing here. We're kind of not wanting to move on until we hear from you guys what that might be.
Yeah. Do you want the traditional? Are you satisfied with that? Okay, Louisa, community.
And what does that mean exactly, Mama? A place where you could.
Maybe where you don't go to hide. You go hide in the church and do it, check it off the list. I did what I had to do for the week and I can go hide in it. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of that.
Okay,
Okay,
she wants to
Lou.
share. And then
Okay.
Rayanne says corporate ascension, more time in
Mhm,
corporate ascension.
mhm,
Okay, go ahead, Mama Lulu.
Um, yes, I've been in churches where there have been cliques, like the married stay with the married and the single kind of are on their own. And so that's one thing um, one way of describing community. And also not having, um, like not feeling left out.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yep, not feeling
yeah.
left out.
And what would make one feel left out, Mama?
Pardon?
What would make someone feel left out?
Um, Not connecting, like someone not willing to take a chance in forming a friendship or, being guarded. I've been in churches where, people are guarded and where you invest more. Well, a lot of relationship in life are like that, right? But in church, where you invest and they're not
Yeah,
reciprocating.
got it. Thanks so much for sharing, Mama.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And okay.
Oh, go ahead.
No, that's okay for
That's it.
now.
Okay.
Okay, okay. Right, you can write it in the chat because I'd love to hear that. We really want to know. We want to be intentional about how we start out and what we build, you know. Ray, would you like to share a little bit about that corporate ascension? I see your hand. I just saw your hand, Mama Francis. So, okay, we could go to Mama Francis and Rayanne. We'd love to hear what it is that you'd be wanting. What do you think would? Yes, Mama Fran.
Well, I'm not quite sure how exactly to express it. Obviously, s small group type, so that there can be the real connections with the real conversations where questions can be answered. Y- Um, and true, what would you say? Where there's real discussion and application of what you've been taught, so that it's truly living it. And I don't know. I know that in anything that I've done with Destiny Strategists, there is definitely a deeper level of truth. And I want more of that because it is the life-giving,
Mm.
real growing, with a challenge to it.
So, Mama, just to drill down on that a little bit, just for clarity. So, you've experienced the VIP. How would that be similar or different from what you're envisioning?
Um,
Well, we only have a few minutes in VIP, so
Okay,
yeah.
so that could be
Yeah.
it. So you feel like that, but not
Well, there's
stemmed
just
by
so
half
much
an hour.
more I want to know that I know that I don't know.
Right.
And there's a lot of questions that it would be nice to have extra time to have
Explore,
answered.
maybe. Sure.
Yeah, it'd be fun if you could write your questions down and bring them to church, or to ministry or a service or a get together or
Well,
fellowship.
I've experienced church like that.
Yeah,
I've experienced
it's
church
been
like that.
years, but I've seen that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something like that, so that I mean, it's really gets into the to where you get changed.
Yeah, right. Lived out. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks so much, Mama Francis. We celebrate Mama Francis. Mama Lulu, you're putting your hand up again, or
Yeah, I just want to just comment on Francis. I used to go to a church where there would be the Sunday service, and then there would be Bible study and explaining in depth about the message. So I don't know if that's what you're looking for, Francis. I just wanted to say it.
interesting Bible study after the message? Okay.
Mm.
Okay. And Ray, did you want to comment by chance?
Not particularly. I think we do a lot of theory work in what we do throughout Christianity. He's
Hmm.
always talking, teaching, that sort of stuff. But the first thing that we do in school is that we get homework and we get
Hmm.
a chance for practical application. And if the Father says, "You are like I am," we need to see the Father. And opportunities for us to do so are so important. So,
Yes.
in that
Okay.
sense.
Okay, and that's probably an element of what Mama Francis is asking for as well. That time to flesh it out. Thank you so much, guys. That really helps us
Hmm.
frame, not build what we want, but as we hear from Father, that we're making sure that we're in step as well with where everybody feels that they are, at least the people who we want to serve.
That's right.
So
And we
yeah,
are talking practical Christianity here, and there is some homework, right? I don't know.
yeah,
But I mean, wow. The topic we're getting to tonight though, Corrie and I was looking at her family background and the amount of homework they did, the practical Christianity they lived out, just incredible. Sometimes it's when the deeper the crisis, the greater the need, and the more, all our learning, all our training has to come out, and we're really put on the spot, and we have to perform.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So this brings us to Dane's daily etymology, and so it's an interesting word.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So, because of our topic tonight, uh, chose an interesting word.
Hmm.
So, on the history of the origin of words, tonight the word is Holocaust. And that comes from the ancient Greek word holocauston, which means a completely burnt offering. So it's formed from holos, which means whole, and from kostos, which means burnt. So that's used to describe a burnt sacrifice to a god by the Greeks. And over time, the word entered English. During the Middle English time, we see that all the time, like with Chaucer. Also coming in through Anglo-Norman French, we see that connection over and over again in our etymologies. And so it evolved to signify large-scale destruction or slaughter, and particularly by fire. Hmm. So in Jewish context, the word was used in the Greek translation of the Torah. So in the Pentateuch, yeah, the Greek translation of the Bible, they were describing with Holocaust the word olah. Olah is Hebrew for a type of sacrificial burnt offering in Jewish tradition. And then, of course, now we've applied that to the horrible suffering, the killing of 6 million Jews in 1930s and 40s. Yeah, the Holocaust. And we capitalize the H now. Yes,
Mhm.
honey.
So
More about your
any
slides here.
no, I said the exact same thing that you
Okay.
said, really. You want to say anything more on that? No, you're
Anything?
good?
No,
Okay.
I'm good.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough topic, really brutal.
Yeah. Let me see.
But it used to mean just completely burning up, right? The sacrifice, what was being sacrificed to be completely burned up, and then that's the Holocaust.
Yeah. Yes. So,
Before we turn there, let's go into the tabernacle. What do you have for us tonight, Dr.
yeah,
Amber?
nothing majorly different because of this topic. Um, just to say that this really does give us a sense of cost that usually to access the presence of God cost
Mhm.
and great cost. We guys, so many people we know are going home.
Mm.
So many people we know and they're like going like in groups. So
Mhm.
someone very precious to us
Mhm.
who interfaced with God in a particular way and manifested God's presence in a particular way with certain signs and wonders, and so uh would be in this face place with the Lord quite a lot. Well, he had the time to, and it was a practice that he cultivated. And today, I think that the Lord just wants us to remember. Go ahead.
Yes, yes, our dear friend. You found out last night that he died and came and told me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we used to drive down to Georgia, which is like, what, 10 hours? We drove down there several times to be with him and the fellowship there. And it was really special. And yeah, we wanted to tell him what we were doing and we didn't get
to
around to it.
to invite him to be
Yes.
a part of it. It was always
Yes.
a plan. It was always a plan since 10 years ago. We always spoke about it that we would start a fellowship and they would come up here and they would do certain things and they teach us certain things. And well, now he's departed. And that could really just mean that the mantle is now available for the taking, or for the asking for.
Mhm.
And that has a whole lot of other connotations, but I really feel like the Lord just wants us to remember that there was a price paid. Yeshua paid the price for us to enjoy the power of the presence and the presence that comes with power. And so I want to, I think, just remind and encourage us that no matter what you're going through, actively take the perspective that you're covered.
Mm.
Actively take the mind space, the mind shift that you're not alone. Actively take the mind shift that you have capacity and that you live, that's the wrong side, and that you live from the face place under this canopy. Live like someone walking in power and in authority and under this blessing. And that's it.
Mm.
Like if there was a burnt offering, a lamb slain before the foundation of the world for you, like Mama Francis and Rianne are asking for, that practical walking out of the theory of being aware of and carrying oneself as though you are covered and you are protected and you are not alone.
Mm. Yeah, and go into this topic, Corrie Ten Boom. And this idea of sacrifice. It used to be that there had to be the shedding of blood for the forgiveness of sins, right? And then that has been done for us. I mean, it is finished. It's permanent now. But
Well, we could just pause there.
yeah,
Live as though that has happened.
yeah.
Th- so many of us um behave as though there needs to be a fresh sacrifice, or there needs to be a new atonement or a new application of the atonement, like it's something in the present and future as opposed to something in the past. It is finished, guys. Let's live as though it truly is finished. Like I had somebody talking about the sin nature and the sinful nature that I have. And somebody said that to you last week. Was it? He said, what did the guy say? But you don't know you're good today, but you don't know you'll
Oh
sin
yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah. It's like, well, this time God's forgiven you, but maybe not next time, or something ridiculous like that.
No, well, it may not, we think it's ridiculous, but if that is all
Yeah, he
that
was
you
like,
have
you
been
haven't gone too
taught,
far yet.
if that's all that we've been taught, then that's all that we know.
Mm.
The law of sin and death. And there's so this even we hear Abby repaying some kids material for her, and everybody is starting with sin. Everybody is starting with sin, and we have this sin nature and we have this sin problem. And I'm like,
Sinlessness.
hang on. That is, you're not quite at the beginning. You're like already in chapter 3. You need to go up to the beginning, which was you were created in God's image and likeness. Just what God is, that's what he made you. And then sin entered. So they're starting with with an image of that you resemble something that is not your creator. I mean, there's not on script and tell me if I'm
Oh,
going
it's
too
okay.
far.
No.
But they're starting from a place as though sin is our default. But I heard someone say this, you were playing somebody in the middle of the night, and they said, but Yeshua is the perfect replica, even if you want to say we have a sin nature, and he came here and he lived without sin. And so even if you want to say Adam is the prototype for sin, Jesus came and he's the new Adam. So why are we not putting ourselves, mirroring ourselves against the new Adam who did not have a sin problem? Yeshua didn't have a sin problem. So I want to put it out there that we begin to live as though we don't have a sin problem because we were created in his image and in his likeness. And that sin problem was dealt with once for all on the cross. So now, if we could begin to live as though that happened and that still has effect today, that would be amazing. It's like living as would be like Dane and I living as though slavery wasn't abolished.
Yeah.
So we have to hide to be
My little
married
mystery.
and hide. Yeah, yeah.
Is
With
that-
your little pickaninny. Yeah. My master, my master.
Oh no.
Right, but guys, we're putting a little levity in it, but we're talking
Yeah.
about some deep
Yeah.
theological shifts that we would live differently
Mm.
if we could like
Yeah.
flesh this out.
Yeah. Now I'm trying to connect that to today's message. This is one where she had to forgive one of the Nazi guards. This is Corrie Ten Boom, whom she ran into years later. And he came up and asked for forgiveness. So let's not go through what happened in that moment. But I will peek a little bit ahead. And she said that the forgiveness is an act of the will. Yeah. No matter what your emotions are telling you. But go ahead, please, honey, and read our verse for tonight.
So the English Standard Version says Matthew 6:14 and 15, for if you forgive others their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive others their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive yours. In a nutshell. And then the KJV says, for if you forgive men their trespasses, not women. I'm kidding.
Gotcha.
Your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you forgive not men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. And then the Passion says, and when you pray, make sure you forgive the faults of others, so that your Father in heaven will also forgive you. Because you might have a fault. Yeah. But if you withhold forgiveness from others, your Father withholds forgiveness from you. Mhm.
And if you watch your sister killed by these people and they come to you and ask you to forgive them, wow. Yeah, let's look at this incredible woman. Just a few points about her. She was born April 15, 1892, and she would die on the same day when she was 91. She died on her birthday, and it's a special Jewish blessing, by the way. They say you have to be specially blessed to die on your birthday. And it's interesting that praying for the peace of Jerusalem and praying for Jews, that was part of her family heritage. Her grandfather, I mean, a century before the Holocaust, her grandfather, her grandfather um would hold prayers, would hold prayer sessions for the Jews. Can you imagine that in the middle of the 19th century? So, I mean, almost even before Zionism. Zionism is just kicking off to a certain extent. Many wouldn't have even heard of it. And they're praying for the peace of Jerusalem. They're praying for God's special people from the ancient world, for the Jews. And you wonder, about the miracles that she experienced later in her life. It may be, you know, this had something to do with all of that, that there was some sort of a family blessing, something ancestral that carried down. I wonder about that. But who's this a picture of, honey?
The family.
So that's her father, the watchmaker and jeweler.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So not only did her grandfather have weekly prayer services for Jewish people starting in 1844, but then her father was a devout Christian. They were Calvinist in the Dutch Reformed Church. And yeah, no wonder they got involved in the Dutch resistance during the Nazi occupation and during the Holocaust. But you know what they were. They were in a watchmaking family. And so she was actually, Corrie, the first licensed watchmaker in Holland. I'm not sure if you came across that particular
The
nugget.
only female, the first and only female of her time.
Hmm. And she was very special. She organized Bible studies. She was very interested in serving her community. She started a club and they would learn sewing and different crafts and yeah, and do Bible studies. So she was very active anyway. Um, they lived out a practical Christianity.
Mm.
So, I mean, already giving shelter, food, and money to the poor. So they knew that they were blessed and they wanted to give back. Um, so we know what happened. So 1933, the Nazis come to power in Germany, and immediately they start persecuting the Jews. You've probably heard of Kristallnacht, where they started to destroy synagogues and persecute Jews in sometimes horrible ways. One person who showed up in Holland uh, and introduced himself to their family and then was taken in and helped by their family was a man who in Germany, in Munich, Germany, had been seriously burned by Nazi attacks. They had set his beard on fire, his face was deformed. He showed up and they were taking people like this in and helping them even before the Nazi occupation. And then the Nazis come into Holland and invade the Low Countries, and they start persecuting and gathering the Jews there and sending them to concentration camps. And so this family, the Ten Boom family, built a very special room working with the Dutch resistance in their home, and it could only fit six people. It was just like a closet. Oh, you found the picture? Very nice, thank you. And and so people would have about a minute. If they knew the Nazis were coming, they had about a minute to get in here and stuff themselves in there. And they saved about 800 people that way. 800 people. And they would help them with papers and money and they worked with the Dutch resistance to find homes to place the escaping Jews in. Very risky work, obviously.
Mm.
And eventually they were betrayed by a Dutchman, and the Nazis were informed. The Gestapo comes and they arrest the family. The father in his 80s dies shortly thereafter. Um, Horrible conditions. There were six people hiding in this room. I think it was six, and they were there for several days. So when the family was arrested, the people hiding, this was such a great hiding place right, that they didn't even discover them, and they were eventually freed and survived the Holocaust. Now, uh, she wrote a memoir. Her memoir is called The Hiding Place, and they made two films about this. One was made by Billy Graham, And then another was just, I haven't seen it. I'm really curious, but in 2023, I think they introduced a new version of the film. So I'm really anxious to see that. But she eventually ended up in a concentration camp. So she went to just north of Berlin, and it was called the Ravensbrück concentration camp.
So that's her with Billy
Yeah,
Graham.
there she's with Billy Graham.
And I guess that's her brother.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
So her sister Betsy was in Ravensbrück with her. Now, Sachsenhausen, you can see in northern Germany, Sachsenhausen, that's just to the north of Berlin. I've been there a few times, but I never made it up to Ravensbrück. Um, Horrific conditions. She smuggled a Bible into Ravensbrück. Isn't that amazing? She said it was a little New Testament and it was sticking out. She was searched twice and the guards didn't find it. And they used that Bible. She prayed to some angels to help her, by the way. And she said, angels, please come help me. And believes that they concealed the Bible for her. And they used that Bible, told Bible studies, and they were able to hide it in there because the guards didn't want to go in there and get lice. And so they kept their distance, the guards, and it enabled some people to come to the Lord there in the camp and some great Bible studies. Uh, Unfortunately, her sister died there terribly mistreated, although she was very much inspired by her sister who kept talking about forgiveness and Christ's example. And Corrie herself, she um she was stripped. I mean, these were humiliating circumstances. They'd be stripped down and have to walk in front of male guards and she was comforted by this Bible. She was reading that Jesus was stripped down. And she said, that gave me the strength, the courage to face this and know I was going through the same suffering as Christ. And and she was accidentally led out of the concentration camp. She was put on a list of prisoners to be let go, to be freed. It was completely accidental, and about a week later, a number of the women in her group were executed. They were murdered, and she was supposed to be in that group. So there were a lot of miracles happening. The Bible got in there. She was able to preach and to witness.
Also, a lot of miracles in the hiding place. Like one
Hmm.
time,
Yeah.
there was a lady who had asthma,
Mm.
and the Gestapo came, and she was just as they got the hatch down, you could hear the and she's like, "Lord, heal." Like, let's say her name was Emma. She was like, "Lord, heal Emma now," and he had and that was it. And the woman was healed, and she never
Oh,
wheezed or had asthma again. But I read as a young girl, I read The Hiding Place,
okay.
and it's a very impactful, very, very impactful.
Hmm. So yeah, it was 12 days after her sister's death that she was released due to clerical error. It's 12 days. And she returned to the Netherlands and she set up a rehabilitation center for survivors of the war and survivors of concentration camps. And then she visited over 60 countries sharing her story. And remarkably, in one case, do you know the story about the man who came to hear her speak?
Mm-mm.
And he came up to her afterwards and said, I was at Ravensbrück. I was at that concentration camp. I was a Nazi guard. And he asked her for forgiveness. And he held out his hand. And um, I guess if she said that the seconds felt like days, I mean, she had this verse going through her head, and then in her heart she realized it had to be an act of the will, and she had to forgive him, to be forgiven herself. I mean, for her to find her own rest her own healing, she was going to have to forgive. She decided no matter what she was feeling, she was going to forgive him, and she did right there. And I can only imagine seeing a guard who is associated with the murder of your sister and the torture of the people around you and the execution of the people around you, to be able to offer that forgiveness. And I have a few quotes from her, if I can find them. Well, you show a couple of pictures. Yeah. She said, forgiveness is an act of the will, and the will can function regardless of the temperature of the heart. She said, worry is a cycle of inefficient thoughts whirling around a center of fear.
Ooh, that's powerful.
She said, the measure of a life, after all, is not its duration, but its donation. Yeah. Worry does not empty tomorrow of its sorrow. It empties today of its strength.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, just listening to her a little bit, I saw an interview of her and Pat Robertson, and just powerful, amazing woman to listen to. And so that takes us through Corrie's story.
I like the picture of the family because when I'm looking at the matriarch in the middle here and that face, look at that expression, that twist, like you're not gonna get us, we're gonna get you. You can see that determined set of the lips there.
Yeah.
I've got a secret and I'm not telling,
Mhm.
you know? And
Yeah,
that
we've
would
been
be,
praying for the Jews for generations
yeah,
and for the peace of Jerusalem.
yeah.
And we know whom we serve.
Yes, yes. Just amazing. Yeah,
Okay, love, what do you have on the science today?
so this brings us to the science, the neuroscience, the brain on forgiveness. And with the brain that is in forgiveness, you'll see lots more arrow lines going. There are three on both diagrams, you'll see three areas listed. Now, I don't remember the names of the of all the parts, right? But the priest part, that first part, I believe, I can't remember the precipital lobe or whatever, that the way, if I'm understanding it correctly, registers the point of the experience. The experience happens and your brain takes it up there. And then the IPL is where you process how you feel about it. Your first person, this is how I feel, this is what this means for me, this is what I'm going to do about it, me. And then the DLPFC area, that's the area of the brain that deals with a third person perspective. Well, this is what that person may have been going through. This might be the scenario that this person was facing. And you see that in the brain that is in the state of unforgiveness, there is no line. There are no lines. There's no interaction between the DLPFC part of the brain and the other two parts. Can you guys see that? The brain that is in unforgiveness. But the brain that is in forgiveness, you see a lot more interaction across the whole brain. But you see the incident from the other person's perspective, you see your feelings from the other person's perspective, and you just plain see the other person's perspective. And so, whether you chose to forgive or you feel to forgive, whether it's a heart decision, a head decision, a religious choice, and you forced yourself or whatever, it wires your whole brain to work completely, which releases that kind of synergistic relays between all those centers of the brain. It actually produces a lot of good enzymes and so on. So you have oxytocin, endorphins. Maybe you could go one more so I could see the list.
This one?
Here, yeah. Please. Thank you, babe. So that you get the studies show that people who practice genuine forgiveness demonstrate 36% lower cortisol levels, 23% better cardiovascular health. So these endorphins and stuff, this is what it does for your body, and significantly reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety. And research reveals that holding grudges actually activates the brain's stress centers chronically. So you're in chronic stress, while forgiveness releases endorphins and activates what researchers call empathetic joy, which is a neurological freedom that heals both mind and body. So Corrie Ten Boom, even before she forgave this, because she was an older lady by the time he came, throughout the time there, she would have been optimizing her brain for supernatural healing and liberation. I mean, you think about the Holocaust survivors who come out with good skin and bones and hair and, and then you think of those who come out wizened and die soon after. And this is part of the secret, while others remained imprisoned by bitterness toward their Nazi tormentors, Corey's forgiveness-focused joy was generating peace, compassion, and a healing energy, not just in hair or in hair, but for her whole physical body. Her delight in divine release was creating neural pathways for freedom that could transform the deepest wounds, even physical ones, into testimonies of God's grace. So, the brain body benefits, just to be a little more granular, this forgiveness focused joy increases oxytocin for bonding and healing. GABA, we spoke about that like the third or fourth night. GABA is big, guys, and you can actually buy it in the store. After reading this, I realized we have some of this downstairs. Why don't we use it?
Bible study and GABA.
Yeah. Do your two drivers, do your two things are thankful for, your two drivers have two GABA, for peace and calm, and it reduces activity in the amygdala. And we know that the amygdala is also the part of the brain that deals with the guardian, and the guardian is the part that has the heart all armored up. That's your amygdala, guys. And forgiveness will actually reduce activity in the amygdala for stress relief. And so, yeah.
It's chemical, and there's also a supernatural love component. I mean, I've heard about Holocaust survivors who wouldn't even go back to Germany. They're like, I can't. And she talked about her love for the German people, and wow, and loved going to see them.
Babe, I didn't even go through the Holocaust, and there's some places that I don't want to go back to. And I didn't even go through the Holocaust. So, guys, I challenge you as I challenge myself, as we challenge ourselves to live a life of forgiveness. Don't do it for the other person, do it for us. Do it for yourself, So, hon, this is where you tell us, or you give us
Our
the
spy,
question.
our inspired question. Corey inspired question. Who or what do you need to forgive to experience Corey's liberation joy? And what would it look like to release them with the same joy-filled forgiveness that sets both forgiver and forgiven free? So, wow, maybe not a Nazi guard, but yeah, family members who hurt you. Yeah.
Leaders.
Former friends who betrayed you.
Church members.
Colleagues who wronged you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And carry that around. all those weights. Wow.
Yeah, and the job where they looked you over, where they and promoted somebody else, or workers who just didn't get you.
So her secret was the liberation, forgiveness, joy practice. Find delight in the freedom that forgiveness brings, rather than the satisfaction of holding grudges. Discovering that joy-filled release creates healing for both forgiver and forgiven. Like Corrie forgiving her Nazi guard, let forgiveness-focused joy become the master key that unlocks every prison of bitterness.
And bitterness is a prison.
Mm.
Unforgiveness is a prison.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like whacking yourself with a hammer in the head. The hammer you intend for, your enemy, right? But whacking yourself with it instead. I guess, that's a resentment. That's what a resentment is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, the
So
daily
the
joy
joy
book.
blur. Joy doesn't seek revenge. It finds freedom through forgiveness. Corrie discovered supernatural liberation by forgiving Nazi concentration camp guards. She found healing power by choosing divine release over human bitterness. She created worldwide ministry by proving that forgiveness sets the forgiver free. It sets me free. Her joy-filled forgiveness transformed enemies into testimonies and wounds into wisdom. Your delight. So what was the last thing that you guys heard? What was the last thing that you guys heard?
Yeah, it transformed joy into something. Or
Okay, so
something,
the
something.
joy blurb when it cut. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just finish up the joy blurb again. And that is
Yeah, we were talking about resentment and the hammer that you're hitting yourself with on your own head that's intended for someone else.
yeah, so joy
Right?
doesn't seek revenge, it finds freedom through forgiveness. Corey discovered supernatural liberation by forgiving Nazi concentration camp guards, found healing power by choosing divine release over human bitterness. She created worldwide ministry by proving that forgiveness sets the forgiver free. Her joy-filled forgiveness transformed enemies into testimonies and wounds into wisdom. Your delight in divine release becomes the master key that unlocks every prison of hurt. It's beautiful. Mama Francis, we saw that your hand was up.
I just wanted to add to the list because sometimes we forget that we have to forgive ourselves.
Ooh, it's a good one.
Mhm.
It's a good one. Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. Yeah.
That one's really hard because then the hammer you intend for the other is going both ways.
And the lamb that was slain before the foundation of the world was slain for others, but he wasn't slain for you. Everybody else is worthy of forgiveness, but not self. And that is, yeah, God doesn't want us to live there. It's very powerful. Good one. And so guys, that's pretty much it. We're reminding you to
Yeah, remember when you awake, engage Jesus first thing, right? I mean, it's in my phone, it's on my alarm. I can see you can label your alarms. And it's like I got those things on there, joy verses. So yeah, thank Jesus for two things, two joy verses, write them down, and then we have to identify a destiny goal we wish to accomplish and what we can do today toward reaching that, a simple task. And it just with excellence and with consistency, do that every single day. And then we have two I am statements. I am responsible and I am strong and capable. It's 8 things. It's not that hard. And
I think of
yeah,
it as four. I think of it as four things that I do two of.
all right.
So Jesus, and I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
I got you.
for people
Yeah.
who want a smaller number, I do Jesus, I do Thanksgiving, verse, destiny, statements. Thanksgiving verse destiny statement.
Uh,
So guys, yeah, this is we are wanting to inculcate the culture of first love,
mhm,
first breath, first thought, first choice.
mhm. And the first choices we make every day are vital. They set the tone for the entire day,
Yes.
right?
And guys, so I do mine in my phone. And so to pick up my phone and get to my notes, which is where I write it, I see all the people who have texted me for the morning already. And I have to make that choice to not, some people are having a meltdown, some people are having an emergency, some people, it's important. I see an email from a company or something I know I need to respond. But that discipline to, no, you are second. First, I will give this first. That has been a powerful shift for me.
Mhm.
So,
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming. It's been a blessing. We only have 2 more nights. Yeah. We were thinking we'd end it all with Catherine Kuhlman, but anyway, that would be a fascinating study, huh? And so let's save a surprise for tomorrow.
yes. Oh, Leonardo da Vinci is also,
No, we're not going to do
we're
him.
not going to do him? Okay.
No,
Okay.
remember we were talking, well, anyway.
Yeah.
We already talked about what we're doing tomorrow, but we're not going to do Da Vinci. I mean, that gets pretty out there, you know. We thought about it.
I remember now. Okay, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yes. Okay, so Father, we thank you for this evening and for
Thank
Corey's
you.
example, Lord. And as you have forgiven us, we ask you to help us to remember to choose. It's a choice. Help us to remember to activate our wills to do this and use our brain in a way that would fuel us and bring us healing. And help us to see that it's not as much for the other person as it is for us to forgive. Bless us, even as we go into the VIP. Bless everybody watching now, watching the replay, wherever else you want this to go,
Mhm.
in whatever ways you want to use it. Do so, we ask, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right.
All
We'll
right.
see you in the VIP.
Okay.